I bought these two things and it's instantly elevated the standard that I can achieve and what I can work to. I bought two new tools this week, and to my surprise, these two tools have probably had more of an impact on the quality of work that I've been able to achieve than any other tools I bought for quite a while. Even after doing carpentry and construction work for so many years, I was surprised by the difference they can make, and I'll explain why. I started working for a company and they preferred everybody to use their tools rather than use their own tools. So I started working for the company, and the very first few days or weeks, I started to use or try to use this spirit level that they had, put it up on something I was building, and the bubble was slightly off. So then I would adjust the thing, timber or whatever it was, put the level back on, and then it would go too far the other way. And the adjustments I was making would get so small, and I could never get the level to sit just in the centre of where I wanted it. As bizarre as that sounds, I put that down to the spirit level. I had no experience with the brand that the spirit level was. I couldn't tell if it was an expensive or cheap product. The spirit level was kind of solid metal. It's this strange kind of over square shape that seemed unnecessary to me. It just didn't resemble spirit levels that I'd been used to using. So within the first couple of weeks, I just started taking my own spirit levels that I had and using them. And on occasion, I might pick up one of these spirit levels and put it up against something I'd built, which I knew was level because I'd used my own spirit levels. And every time I used this particular level, it was off again. Like the things I was building was out. So anyway, I kind of give up, irritated by that particular spirit level and that brand. I honestly could not figure out why they had them. As you would know if you've seen the videos in the last couple of weeks, or you may not know, I've recently started doing some work for a company that build very high-end furniture, wardrobes, beds, that kind of stuff. And I've had the job to install them on the site, in the house. So I did my usual thing, turn up again, have my own tools. I had the spirit levels that I'm used to using. And then the guy I'm working with, he just works to a good high standard, very intelligent guy, very good attention to detail. I'm looking to him to take the lead because he's done this type of work for this exact company before. And then I see the spirit level. And at that point, I think maybe the switch went off in my brain that made me think, okay, I'm missing something. It's me that's not looking at this right, always looking at it different. It's me that's looking at it wrong. It's not the spirit level. Because I had confidence in this guy's ability, and I figured if he's using it, then there must be something there that I'm missing. So I used the spirit level again, checked on the stuff that I'd been installing that was by my levels was level, and it wasn't level. It was out, and it was maybe out by 1 millimeter over the distance of a meter. So like, almost over a 2 meter span, it might be out by 1.5, 2 millimeters. In construction stuff, that's no problem at all. I mean, that's certainly close enough. And maybe even if you're installing a kitchen, that's within the realms of what would function and what would still be a good standard to work to. But these things that we're installing at this project we're working on, just being of that next level, I immediately realised I can't achieve the same standard that this guy I'm working with is achieving with the spirit levels that I've got and I've been using previously. And that was it. That was the moment I thought, to do the work to this standard, it's going to require tools, particularly in this case the spirit level, of the same standard to match the quality of the work that you're trying to achieve. So a few days after doing it, and I didn't really touch my spirit levels. Every time I was putting something down or fixing something up, I was walking over, borrowing his spirit level, coming back, checking the work, taking the spirit level back. A bit frustrating, I guess, but I had the feeling that if I want to continue doing the work and seem like I'm capable and worth having around, keeping borrowing someone else's tools doesn't really put you in that perspective. So picked up the spirit level. Within the next 2 or 3 days, I had exactly the same experience, but this time it was with a tape measure. It always surprised me after doing something for so long, you're still able to be surprised by something that you thought you knew everything about. The experience I had here was we're measuring between surfaces, and it's like an internal measurement. I guess over 20 years now, every time I'm taking a measurement, if it's an internal measurement, I put the tape measure at one end, I drag the tape out, sort of hold it, bend the tape in, push it into the corner, get the internal measurement. But that little curve in the tape into the corner, I'm always looking at that like guessing at the last millimetre or the last 2 millimetres of what that measurement is, because the tape doesn't bend into the corner into a sharp point. So you get this bit of a curve and you're sort of looking, you're thinking, yeah, okay, that's 667 millimetres. And if you're doing construction and building stuff, crikey, you don't even need to get that close. But I mean, why not? If you can, then why not? But it doesn't really matter. Within the closest 5 millimetres often is close enough if you're building a roof or building a house. Even if you're doing a kitchen, within a few millimetres. Maybe not a kitchen, but you know what I mean. If you're building most things, getting within a few millimetres is probably going to serve you okay. But now we're doing the furniture, and this stuff has been made to 1/10 of a millimetre of accuracy in the workshop. I mean, which to me, my brain only goes as far as millimetres. 1 millimetre or 2 millimetres, that's as close as my brain ever thinks in. But then when it comes to seeing this furniture be made and the accuracy that that's done with, 0.5 millimetre, I mean, it sounds ridiculous to even say it, but 0.5 millimetre makes a difference. Because if you're installing, let's say you're installing 5 wardrobes in a row, and you're 0.5 millimetre out on each one, then by the time you get to the end, you're 2.5 millimetres out. And you can see that. You can see the difference between that, or if you're accurate all the way up to the fraction of a millimetre. And then there's this tape measure, as it turns out, same brand as the spirit level. The guy I'm working with, he has the tape measure. I'm using my tape measure and doing an okay job, but he's doing a better job than I'm doing when it comes to accuracy. And I'm seeing him use the tape measure, and again, it's the same experience. It's like I know what to do, I know how to do it, but I can't quite achieve that with the tools that I'm using. So next time I go to the store, pick up the tape measure. I'm not happy about it. The spirit level is ridiculously expensive. The tape measure is ridiculously expensive. I mean, the tape measure that I bought, it's probably cost me maybe 4 or 5 times the cost of any tape measure I've ever bought before. I mean, for me, they're almost a throwaway item. You know, you buy it, you know you're going to have it for a few months, and it'll be bent and trashed, and you'll discard it and get another one. So it's not a joyful purchase for me to buy these things, but it will be very difficult to achieve the same level as the guy I'm working with and the other guys that do this type of stuff with your kind of everyday standard tools. And then that got me thinking about, is it me, well, not is it me, but is it the workman or is it the tools? Any good craftsman really needs to give credit to the tools that they're using for what they're achieving. You might get the rare cases where you have someone who's just this incredible artist level craftsman who's just been doing something for so long, and they're using tools from 50 years ago and still creating beautiful things. Of course that can happen. I think to say that a bad craftsman blames his tools and then not recognise that people that do good work have the benefit of good tools, and it's not fair to the person who doesn't have the better quality tools, you know. So I say this as a person who's got the good quality tools, and I think that's fair. I think I do work now that is of a certain standard, and some of that is down to the fact that I've been doing this a long time and I've developed skills to be able to do that. But I think I would be being unfair if I took all the credit for that and I didn't recognise that some of that standard of work that I can achieve at this stage of doing this work is down to the quality of the tools I use. And I see this actually when I look at other content on YouTube and social media, but certainly on YouTube, I see people building these incredible pieces of furniture, and for sure there's skills involved there. But if you actually break it down a lot of the time, and you know, let's say you take someone who's building a table, for example, and you break down the process of what they're doing, they'll probably start out with a joiner to get straight edges on the wood they're using. Then it'll go for a thicknesser planer to get it to a good level. Then they have large working areas to lay the stuff out. Then good jointing machines to actually connect the material. Lots of clamps, track saws, table saws, drill presses. All of this stuff makes those things possible. And you're watching people build this stuff and you have like aspirations of doing that. Recognise the fact that that might be quite hard to do that if you don't have the stuff they have. But anyway, yeah, so to me it's been really apparent this week with just simple tools as a spirit level and a tape measure. And this is nothing to do, I'm not trying to promote these tools. I've got no affiliation with the company that make these two products that I bought. As it turns out, they're actually from the same brand. I'm not even particularly fond of the brand. I mean, like the Festool stuff I use, I'm kind of like I don't know what you call it, but I like Festool. I like the branding, I like the products. I consistently like their products. This brand, I don't know. I'm not a lover of the design. I'm not passionate about that brand. But I can't deny the fact that this brand's spirit level and tape measure that I bought this week far exceeds any of the brands of spirit levels and tape measures that I've had before. I certainly don't recommend that everyone or anyone should go and buy these. I mean, I'm talking about very specific type of work. I've been doing this work for a long time, and now I'm doing of the highest standard of work, or I'm doing work that requires the highest standard of installation and fitting. I need these to do that job. But certainly if you're doing regular work, or you do stuff like as a hobbyist, or even if you're doing site work, these are above and beyond what's necessary, I think. Just be aware that if you're seeing other people doing work, certainly on things like YouTube, and maybe you have feelings that you couldn't achieve the same level of work, and maybe you have feelings about that, about your own skill level, just have a little rethink about it and consider whether or not that distance might be so great because they have access to tools and things that you don't maybe have access to, and that can definitely play a part in what you're able to achieve. I guess I would sum it up like this and say that a bad craftsman will still do a bad job even if they're using the best tools. But then I would say that the best craftsman would probably struggle to do a fantastic job if they was only given access to the worst tool set. Don't think that saying or that phrase is going to catch on.